Welcome back. We're here with Paige from Phoenix United Insurance. Paige, how are you?
Good, how are you, Easton?
Good. Thanks for coming on. I'm very excited to dive into your expertise of insurance. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, why start your own independent insurance agency versus working for someone else?
Yeah, so I worked for like a captive agent in the past, State Farm, Allstate, but after kind of working there for a while, I realized like a lot of customers they don't qualify or they have too many speeding tickets. Something simple that makes them like unqualified for the insurance. So instead of working for someone else and realizing I didn't have these options for the customers, I kind of wanted to branch off on my own and like have the multiple carriers just to give the customer those options. But realistically, I've always wanted to own an agency. I wanted to own a business since I was young. So it was bound to happen. I just didn't know which route I'd take.
And what makes you different if someone's, looking for an insurance agent? What makes you different than, let's say, their regular State Farm agent?
Yeah, so with me, I'm gonna give them what they expect every single time. When they call me in that initial conversation and when they call me for customer service, a lot of places have a turnover, but this is my business, so I'm always gonna be here. Also, the carriers I have, like I have Progressive and Geico. You're not gonna get that by calling 1-800, but you might get that with a local agent, and I'm gonna explain the coverage from start to finish, and I'm always gonna be there for them.
And can you talk about what happens if you do not have enough insurance?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, but like in the state of Ohio, if you went with like liability limits just at state minimum, you'd be at like 25,000 for property damage. And in that case, if you didn't have enough coverage, the state would say, "Hey, can you cut a check for the remainder of amount when you guys go to court?" And if you can't, they can garnish your wages, come after your assets, and a lot of people don't realize that. That doesn't even cover like a standard SUV nowadays.
So you would be, if you do not have enough, you would be almost paying for it out of
You
pocket.
would have to, yeah. Either you cut that check or they're going to garnish wages or assets.
And what's the difference in like the payment structure of having enough versus not having enough? Like, is it like a couple dollars? Is it expensive? What does that look like?
Yeah, most people it's just a couple dollars, maybe like 10 bucks a month. Just by bumping it up one of the extra limits. I mean, there's a ton of different limits to go after, but just to go one tier above state minimum to have that peace of mind, it's like 10 bucks a month roughly.
And what can people do to minimize that cost of insurance that they're paying?
Yeah, there's a lot of discounts with each carrier, so always ask about that. There's like a drive safe and save discount, like a little mobile device you'll plug in. Some people hate it, some people don't. I'd always ask, like, is it ever going to make my premium go up? Because every carrier is different with that. On the homeowner side, newer roofs, if you guys get a roof, I'd say to call their insurance agent because that's a pretty big price impact. Home security discount, if you have like even a ring doorbell qualifies. On the auto side, if you have low mileage, like if you don't drive a lot, I would tell them maybe drive 6,000 miles per year, you get a discount for that too.
So it's always important to check and like, hey, like, do I get a discount for this?
Yeah.
What about this aspect? Not just like going with whatever they tell you.
Yeah, I would honestly call every year. New discounts come out, and I would just call your agent if they're not calling you for renewal. That's a problem. You might need to call them then, though, and just say like, "Are there any discounts I don't have in my policy? Like, what would I qualify for?"
And when do you think a small business owner should consider getting insurance?
Small business owner, I would say you should consider that prior to opening your doors. I mean, you should really look into like when you're looking into that business plan, understand the cost of it all and what your risks are, and call an insurance agent just to understand everything. Because the second you open that door, you're opening your liability, and you just want to make sure that's protected too.
Yeah, I think the aspect of people, a business owner being liable doesn't even cross people's minds,
Yeah.
especially if you're in the contracting space or you're in, just the like in-person space. I think a lot of business owners never think about that.
No, they don't. And it's a thing we just don't realize how many things you're liable for until it happens.
And I think getting upsold as a consumer is a lot of people's fears when
Yeah.
they're talking to insurance is like, am I paying like for something that I don't need?
Mhm.
Are they selling me something that I don't even know about? How do you make sure when you're working with your customers that they're saving or that they are paying only what they should need, not upselling them on something?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is I have to do my job to explain that coverage to the customer and make sure that I explain what can happen if they don't have enough. But I'm also not going to push it super hard on them. I try to be really easygoing at the initial part of the conversation when we set that appointment to have a call or they just call in. I give them all three options. I give them the standard amount, which is liability to show them that. If they want like the coverage on the car, the comprehensive and collision would be that. And then I show them a tier above. And then the tier I would recommend for them based on their risk and what their family life is. So that way they have all three of those options and they can decide on their own without feeling the pressure which one works best for them.
And you're not going to recommend something that they don't need.
Absolutely not. No, but I'm going to show them these are the options that you can choose from to give it kind of in their ballpark.
And as a business owner, how do you find that line between grinding and working hard versus enjoying what you're building?
That's a really good question. That's still a line I'm trying to find some days. Every week's different. You know, the lighter weeks, I take those 2 days to kind of relax and enjoy life, but some weeks it feels like it's nonstop. So it's just, you just keep going with the flow and adjust it as you need to.
And is there some things that are mandatory in that process of slowing down and just letting yourself relax and enjoy?
Oh, yeah. I like the weekends are like Sunday is a must. I can't work on Sundays. I've made that off limits for myself. And I can watch my Netflix show, do what I want, no house chores. It's just my day to really unwind.
Yeah. I think that's mandatory for a lot of business owners, especially if you're a grinder. You're like, I want to work all this time. I want to put in the work. I have to hustle. But it's like, if you burn out 6 months into the journey,
Yeah.
there's no more left.
No, you don't have any more left in the tank. I've been there too. I've done that. So
Yeah.
I know better than that now.
I have two more questions for you. What's something in your life that you've taken for granted, but want to be more grateful for?
I'd say time with the people you care about. You don't know it's gone until it's gone. So like when you have the time to spend with your loved ones, I would say put that time in, like spend that extra time with Thanksgiving, be engaged, have the conversations with people and ask the questions you want to ask because life's shorter than we all realize.
A lot of us take that for granted of like, oh, this person's always going to be around. And then when they're not, you always think of the memories or the past experience you've had. And you're like, I wish I would have had one more deep conversation with them.
Yeah, and like I had this meeting I had to go to and I was like running 5 minutes behind and I was thinking to myself, if you could buy back time, that'd be convenient, but it's just not possible. So we all take time for granted.
I have one more question for you. If you could have dinner with two people,
Ooh.
one person from the past and one person from the present, who would it be and why?
That's a really good question. I would say my Nana from the past, and I would want to bring Ashley, which is my sales director from Erie, because she's changed a lot in my life, and I want my grandmother to see how I am now, but also just show how much of an impact Erie had on me. And I think she'd be able to get that point across. I've been through many scenarios where I have wanted this opportunity but wasn't given it, and she's the only one that really gave me a shot being a young entrepreneur, and I would definitely want them two to meet.
And is your grandmother, is that someone that you took time for granted for?
Yeah, I would agree on that.
Well, Paige, those are all the questions I have for you. How can people find you? And what is one thing you want to leave people with?
Yeah, people can find me everywhere, all over social media. We have a Facebook page, Phoenix United Insurance. We also have an Instagram page. We're all over the place. One thing I want to leave you guys with is when's the last time your agent reviewed your coverage with you? If you sit there and think about that, you'll know if you're properly covered or not.
Awesome. Well, Paige, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Easton.